time to fulfill another obligation. By that, I mean another chapter of UberQuest, specifically the Red Approach. In the last video covering this series, quite a bit happened in the story, despite how much was covered. Our heroes found a couple of characters they were looking for, there was a makeout session, and some mysterious entities stole a fuel cell. How do we follow up on that? Well, if the chapter art is any indication, it's going to be quite bloody. The word of the day is red. We begin with the brigand group that's been trying to capture Kibbles. The last team they sent failed, so they need to act fast before Kyler's group can get to her. To make matters worse, they also hired a cleaner named Zeldan, who happens to be Garrett's uncle. At least Zeldan doesn't seem concerned with his nephew's failures, especially once Garrett promises to do better this time. He's also getting help with his magic from Thana, who's really enjoying the former's company. Those scars could tell quite a story, I am sure. Anyways, I'm eager to get to know you on a more personal level. Okay, but so you know, he is a cat, so that should mean that his... Anyway, over to Kyler's group. Sam still remembers what he saw when his boss and Joel were sleeping together. Regardless of what he's seen or heard, we learn that Kyler was offered the position as the council's Master of Arms. Perhaps this is a way for him to sway Draven into changing the same-sex relationship laws once he becomes king. And that couldn't come any sooner, since Joel is worried they could be hanged if someone learns of their love. Kyler is pretty hopeful that Draven would be understanding, since he really wants to change his country for the better. Speaking of, the Crown Prince actually sent him on a special mission regarding Ubers, and success would hopefully boost his reputation, but he didn't have a choice when it came to accepting the task. He's being rushed out the door. We see that the one talking to him was actually Valmont in disguise. He toys with the real Draven like he usually does, and the prince just goes along with it despite his obvious discomfort. After all, Valmont's services will help him become king. Draven even offers to discuss the scheme over dinner. I do look forward to our little date, my love. I knew you'd eventually say yes. Until then, my sweet prince. Oh goody, I can't wait. A good judge of character, huh? If only Kyler knew what was really going on. Anyway, Sam can't stand the thought of working under Kyler. He tries to call him out and rile him up, but Kyler puts him in his place by threatening a court-martial. Sam holds his peace and falls back in line, but as we all know, he will remember this. And now for another Sesame nightmare. This time, we see her walking down a strange hallway of white doors, spotting her sister, who cannot hear her. Someone is singing from a distance, and as Sesame explores further, we see that it's their mother. She also can't hear her daughter, who's now turning into a younger version of herself. Then some scribbles form over her mother's head, as well as the dialogue, as if it's being blotted out by trauma. You. It's all your fault. Haven't you caused enough pain? What did she do? I must know. I don't know how much more I have to wait. Anyway, Sesame wakes up to Mason, who wants to know what she saw in the dream. She insists that everything is fine, but do you know what actually is fine? The caravan. It's fixed. They're going to take it for a test run. Maybe they can even finish their shipment. As for the others, Claire and Farin wake up from their sexy time, now with even less clothes on. But once they're fully awake, Claire realizes that her fuel cell is missing. She thinks someone stole it, but Winsley questions how that could happen given the magic barrier. Moving back to Kyler's team, Sam is still moping about until he spots Mason, Sesame, and their caravan. He rides on ahead without permission because he thinks they know something about Kibbles. Between Kyler and Joel being a couple, Leon and Gwen getting it on, and what we're seeing with Mason and Sesame here, I think we all know what Sam's problem is. Well, girls don't like me. It's been so hard. So what if I don't have pretty boy eyes? That doesn't give everyone the right to ignore me. Everyone has someone except Sam, so he has to make it everyone's problem. That and he's a homophobe. He accuses the two of smuggling something with that caravan and also accuses them of being rebels. Sesame tries saying something, but Kyler shows up to intervene. He immediately recognizes Sesame because their families see each other during the summer. Oh yeah, and you're Soya, right? How do you mistake a short-haired cat from a half-tiger? Pretty big difference! As they reminisce and catch up, we see Thana's group preparing their ambush. All the while, Sam is getting really angry and paranoid. He thinks his boss is in cahoots with Sesame, so he decides to threaten Mason with a knife. Kyler tries to calm him down, but when that doesn't work, he court-martials Sam. You will not take every f***ing thing away from me! I won't let you! Dude, you have anger issues. Not even Bakugo was this bad. He claims Kyler only earned his position because of his connections to nobility. Kyler responds by pointing out that at least he isn't a self-destructive bitch. Then, just before Sam can tell everyone that Kyler is gay, Leon hears the sound of arrows coming their way. He pushes Gwen to safety before... Leon! Leon! You have no idea how long I've waited to use this clip for anything. As panic sets in, one arrow causes the caravan steeds to run off. Mason tries chasing after them, but is forced to take cover behind a tree. With Sam. As the brigands approach, Sam says, I'm not going to die here! Wow, not only is he self-destructive, but he's a scared little bitch. Sesame almost gets shot, but Kyler saves her. Gwen is obviously in despair, but she responds by shooting that one guy in the mouth with a crossbow. Nice. Then our heroes turn the tide from the ambush, with Kyler sniping, Sesame slicing, and Mason... shielding? Unfortunately, it's at this point that Kibbles and friends jump in with a warp portal, so they're caught up in the action too. Farron gets the worst of it when Kyler accidentally shoots him in the leg. Looks like he's gonna need a little sexual healing after this, am I right? Kyler soon learns that Farron is on his side. He tries telling Kibbles why he's here, but she claims that the prince wouldn't send anyone out for her. Garrett then shows up to cause trouble with Thana, and he reminds Kibbles of what happened at the start of the series using illusion magic. He tries to guilt her into thinking that she killed someone, but despite his taunts, she does manage to deflect his magic back at him, so at least she's able to hold him off for a while. Now, as for Sam, he runs into Zeldane, and like the pitiful mutt he is, he gets his ass handed to him. To make matters worse, Zeldane seems to have powers that make him a devourer. And you're a null. A powerless, useless runt. Well, excuse me, Mr. Evil Caracal Man. Sam tries the tactic of kick him in the nuts, but that didn't work. We then get some black speech bubbles with white text to show how angry Zeldane can get when he's mad. He just wails on him long enough that Sam is either dead or unconscious. My money is on dead. Back with the others, Mason saves his steeds by yeeting one guy into another while Kyler fights Thana. Mage versus Archer. Magic versus Arrow. Or rather, Magic versus Suplex. Plus boobs, because why not? But even then, that doesn't last long. Sesame and the others try to break Kibbles out of the illusion barrier, but it's Kibbles' pendant that frees her. But it looks like she's been teleported somewhere. What, again? Thana then stops fighting and flees since her target left, leaving Garrett behind to face our heroes. Zeldane shows up to back up his nephew, but remember how he is the cleaner? And how they wanted to clean up Garrett's failure? Well, how could you? He was your family. What kind of monster does that? Oh, sweet child. First time in battle? What a shame. You're out of your depth. Dude, you're up against 5 people. At least 3 of which can fight. I think it's you who is out of their depth. But Sesame is pissed enough that she wants to fight him alone. He then proves how strong he is by teleporting constantly and avoiding all the attacks thrown his way. When Gwen gets hurt, Kyler fights harder and moves as fast as Zeldane. The cleaner then shows off more of his devourer powers, which is the equivalent of spell breaking. Sesame then engages him again when he badmouthed her father, but even she can't stop his magic. Scrab is no match either, since he's pure magic, and he gets sealed back into his default form. Mason tries restraining Zeldane, but gets his life force sucked out for his troubles. And then Claire whacks him with a stick. Why are you doing this? How can you be so heartless?
He's an asshole.
Zeldane threatens to cut her legs off, which offends whoever is watching them up in the trees. Sesame attacks, but gets her Uber arm caught, and it starts making her behave weirdly. The voices tell her to obey. Zeldane seems to know what's up and tells Sesame to take off the Uber. When she can't, he tells her to meet Dr. Hatchet instead. Sorry, kid. It'll all be over soon. Dr. Hatchet, you already murdered your patient. Sesame starts to fall into despair, since after all she went through, she wasn't strong enough to resist whatever this is, and now all she can see is red. But then Zeldane gets zapped by lightning. Is that Soya? I figured I'd find you here. No kidding. And again, Kyler, how can you mistake her for Sesame? She's ripped! It's clear that Soya is in a different league from Zeldane, so he flees via smoke bomb. Sesame is happy to see her sister, but as everyone gathers, she starts fading like she's about to die. We do get a panel of little Sesame crying and big sis Soya comforting her. Well, that just makes it seem like life was good for them. So what the hell are the nightmares trying to do to her? Later, we see that Kibbles was inside a magic barrier the whole time. Once she gets out, she is formally introduced to Kyler, who offers his services to her. They're all being watched from an unknown location by a mysterious figure with some advanced tech. And there is some mutterings that the perfect timeline was being achieved, until Soya showed up. Now there's a need to harvest more Cosm to make way to paradise. And the person saying this is someone that was hinted at a while ago. Omni. Well, damn. Well, I think this might explain the nightmares now. Maybe Sesame is undergoing multiple timelines just so this Omni guy can harvest whatever life energy he needs to achieve his goals. That's just my theory anyway. But I will say, this was quite an action-filled chapter. Sucks that I now know 2 Leons who died to save our heroes, but that's fiction for you. Also, it's funny how Sam's discovery of Kyler's secret amounted to nothing. Though who knows what might happen. Now that the group has expanded, it's only a matter of time before we get more reveals regarding what we just learned. Once the current chapter is finished, I'll see about returning here because my interest is still there. Until then, I'm the Media Hunter. Media's my prey, and reviewing them my way.